Welcome back to another episode of Painting Lines. We had a pretty eventful week this week. We had three ATP 250s and that big exhibition in Saudi Arabia that seemed more like a media production than a tennis tournament, in my opinion. But anyway, today we're going to break down the 250s, Almaty, Brussels, and Stockholm, and then we'll get into the Six Kings Slam. But first, feel free to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the show. It really helps support the channel. All right, Aiden, let's kick it off with the Six Kings Slam. Let's start there. You supposedly got the best players in the world playing for a $6 million purse. It's streamed on Netflix. It's backed by the Saudis. Did you even watch any of it?
I mean, I gotta say, not really. Like, I watched the highlights of a match or two, but I was so engaged with the three 250 tournaments that just didn't really feel super locked in on that one. I was like, these other ones actually matter for ATP points, and there's so many matches going on. I just couldn't bring myself to actually go and watch an exhibition.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch it either. I came close. I was watching a highlight. I was gonna watch the Alcaraz Sinner final highlight, but then the first like 2 or 3 minutes of the highlight video was the intro before they walked on the court, and I was like, nope, not doing it.
Yeah,
Didn't even
exactly.
didn't even make it.
Yeah, it's just too much sort of spectacle and not enough actual
Mhm.
tennis.
Exactly, exactly. Like one of my buddies, I think Friday, asked me if I was gonna watch it, and I was like, oh, I mean, I don't even know what time. Like, I feel like there wasn't enough promotion around it. I didn't know it was being streamed on Netflix until he said something about it. I didn't know what day the final was. I didn't even know matches were played already. Like, I was just kind of totally blocking this thing out and focusing on the real tennis, the 250s, like you.
Exactly, exactly. So what ended up happening?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess we'll break it down. Let's get into it. So Sinner won. He defended his title. He won it last year. So overall, he's made 12 million from this tournament, which is pretty insane because the $6 million purse, that's more than any slam, that's more than the World Tour finals. Like this thing is it's a fat purse. So he wins it. And apparently that the money is supposed to be kind of the main incentive because after all, this is an exhibition match. So like what is motivating these players to actually perform and do well? I mean,
Yeah.
6 million bucks.
I mean, yeah, and they do care about that, but I feel like it's still like at that point when you are the number one player in the world, I get it. $6 million is always going to be a ton of money, and as a outsider, 6 million is a lot of money, but for them, I feel like you kind of get to a point on tour where money isn't quite as important as maybe the accomplishments you're trying to achieve on tour.
Yeah, and what I think is pretty funny here is Alcaraz had this bum ankle that he sprained in Tokyo, and he's playing in this, and he does lose to Sinner in the final. Shocker that those two were even in the final,
Yeah.
but he got dominated. It was 6-2, 6-4, and Sinner didn't even face a break point. So my question to you is, do you think this is because Alcaraz's ankle wasn't fully healed, or do you think Sinner just got that much better from the US Open?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't totally blame the bum ankle given the fact that Alcaraz was still able to win his other match. I mean, he did only play one other match, right, since it's a six
Yeah.
person tournament. But I mean, I do think that perhaps you got to say, like you said, Sinner did win it last year. And last year, this was his only win over Alcaraz. So maybe the conditions at the Six Kings Slam just kind of favor Sinner and the way it's set up favors him. Whereas Alcaraz just doesn't necessarily have the right setup for him.
Yeah, maybe it's fixed and they split the money at the end. Who knows?
Yeah,
But either
exactly.
way. All right, yeah, you mentioned the weird like 6 person draw. So let's kind of just go over the format. So Alcaraz and Novak just had buys straight to the semis because I guess they seeded people based on their Grand Slams. Sure, that makes sense. And
So
then
you
you
go,
got
what, three people have
yeah,
them and three don't?
I guess so. And then you just decide like, all right, Novak. Yeah, because remember last year I think Rafa was seeded at
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, I
Just
mean, last year kind of made sense because it was kind of like you had the top guys in the world and then you had like two legends, right? I
yeah,
get
yeah.
Novak was still one of the top guys, but like you had the two legends getting auto advanced, and then you had the other four guys. Now it's just like, okay, what do we do now that we don't have the two older guys and they just go based on slam wins? But I mean, then hypothetically, wouldn't you maybe put like Tsitsipas above like Fritz because he played in more finals?
Ooh, that's a good point. That is a good point. I mean, either way though, like Fritz beats Zverev, Sinner beats Tsitsipas. Like I
Shocker.
just
That's the real shocker of the tournament. There's no way that happened.
dude, yeah. You're more surprised? I shouldn't even say surprised. Like,
Yeah.
how about Fritz and Zverev though? Like, I think this is what, 8 or 9 in a row, maybe even 10.
Something crazy. Like Zverev just cannot beat him.
Yeah. Oh, I know. But like overall, so did you watch the at least the final highlights or no?
I watched some of the highlights, but like I just really didn't care about who won the tournament.
Yeah. So it felt like an exhibition to you. It wasn't like, all right, the final, you weren't gearing up for, oh, Alcaraz Sinner, let's go final.
Yeah, no, it's just
No.
like it's a six-person tourney, and it's just hard to make it feel like a real competition.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing that came out of this tournament was the Zverev and Tsitsipas memes on Twitter. They were so good, like so funny. Just, for example, like Zverev and Tsitsipas pulling up to the Six King Slam. Like the comments were just so funny because they clearly it didn't seem like they belonged there.
Yeah, it's just like ready to take my $1 million purse and walk away or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, 1.5 appearance.
Exactly. I mean, like you get 1.5 million just for showing up. I mean, what does Alcaraz get for making the final? Like, that's the thing. You look at it that way, and yeah, I get that it's a $6 million payday for Sinner, but it's still probably like a $3 million payday just for making the final and showing up for Alcaraz. So like, it's not as big of a deal for him. He's like, I still made 3 million bucks.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you mean you made 3 million bucks? I think it's just
Oh,
six or 1.5.
oh, you don't get anything for winning
No,
your
no, no,
match?
no, 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 no. It's just straight up.
Well, that's stupid then. What's even the incentive to try in your first match?
Yeah, I don't know, but a crazy stat, Zverev, I guess Tsitsipas too, made I think like $500 a second.
Crazy.
Yeah, not too shabby, huh?
Yeah, I think
But
Medvedev did the same thing last year.
yes, he did. He did. All right, let's move on to some real tennis. Let's move on to Almaty. And speaking of Medvedev, he ends his title drought finally. This is his first ATP title in over 2 years. So, Aiden, do you remember his last one?
I mean, I didn't until during the tournament they like brought up that it was Rome because I feel like that was in the commentary talked about it a few times.
Mhm. Yeah, it was such a long time ago. I didn't even remember.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do remember talking about it when that was, but I kind of assumed he'd collected a smaller title since then, but I guess not.
Yeah, pretty ironic. It was on clay too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I remember it's the iconic one where he did his little dance when he won that match over Zverev or something.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. And then he faced Mute, whatever, in the final. He's just like the tour junk baller. Like he was just slicing everything. He was, being a little cheeky Frenchman, but at least we saw him kind of entertain the crowd too. He had an outburst. He smashed his racket. I thought it was like an interesting final. I wasn't like captivated in it, but I felt like it was a big like tug of war. It was 3 sets. Those two were really going at it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it was a very much a tight match, really scrappy, and I think that's what made it very entertaining. It's actually going to be my match of the week this week, but I feel like Mute just would not give Medvedev a break, and that was kind of not great for Medvedev because Medvedev was struggling to put the ball away. And Mute was like, okay, hit an extra shot, hit an extra shot. And then if Medvedev wouldn't put him away, Mute would kind of grind his way back into the point.
Oh yeah, he was getting stuff all over the place. Like there would be shots where he wasn't even in the screen and the ball would just come back.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
And, like
he's
Medvedev, hit the ball harder or softer or do something. Don't just hit it to him every time.
yeah, yeah. I feel like as your Medvedev, you're kind of forced to play more aggressive against Mute because that's how he plays. He plays defensive. And that's just putting Medvedev out of his comfort zone. I feel like Mute, this maybe was his chance to get a title. Like if
Yeah.
anything,
I
not a
mean,
bad matchup for him.
one interesting thing about this match was I think early on, Medvedev was actually getting kind of dominated in like just the ground stroke games because Mute would just throw in all these weird shots. And I feel like Medvedev is much more of a player where he thrives when It's very consistent. You're getting the same type of ball over and over again. And Mute would just like throw in a random slice or throw in a drop shot or some weird kind of loopy ball. He's just trying to throw him off his rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. He's a disruptor. That's
Exactly.
plain and simple. But other than that, really nothing else notable in this tournament, other than Hachinov, he got upset first round, or not really first round. It was he got a bye to the second round, first match he played
Yeah.
against my boy Jan Leonard Struff.
Mm,
And yeah, Struff Waffle. But other than that, yeah, Duckworth, he made a semifinal run as a qualifier. That's pretty cool.
yeah. I mean, I feel like the story of the tournament was definitely just that Medvedev won the title and it showed that like his momentum is continuing. Like obviously made the semis in Beijing and was a little bit probably disappointed to lose to Lerner Tien there. Made the semifinals in Shanghai, was probably disappointed to lose to Rinderknecht. And then finally he collects his first title of the year and first one in over like 800 and some days. And now coming into the end of the year, he's actually building some momentum rather than continuing kind of that slide that he's had for all of 2025.
Does he get into Turin? Is there a chance?
It's really not likely. I think he would have to like win Paris and simultaneously Musetti, Ruud, and I mean, Musetti and FAA would have to play poorly.
Which you can't really completely rule out.
Yeah, no, it's definitely possible, but it's like it's not plausible.
Gotcha.
It's not likely, let's say.
Yeah. Well, that's a good transition into our next segment. Let's talk about the Brussels tournament. And FAA, he wins this title. He kind of, I don't want to say out of nowhere because he had the momentum coming from the US Open, but before that, started the year off hot, won a couple titles, and then just kind of went on a hiatus, had that big semifinal run at the US Open, and then wins the title here. So, fun fact, eighth career title, which actually puts him as a tying Milos Raonic for the most tour level titles as a Canadian male.
Yeah, that's really impressive. I mean, I feel like it just shows that FA has that super high level. And I feel like he is just one of the best indoor hard court players out there. And I think that's shown by the fact that seven of his eight titles are actually from indoor hard tournaments. And I mean, not many people are that dominant on indoor hard.
Yeah, do you think he is the Rafa of indoor? Like Rafa is to clay as FAA is to indoor hard.
No, well, because he's not as good as Rafa, obviously. Like the separation isn't as much,
Yeah.
but like he is definitely a threat on indoor hard much more than he is on any other surface.
Yeah, that'd be so funny if FAA went down in the history books. He's like, this guy's just unbeatable on indoor hard, like a
Yeah.
super specific type of
I
surface.
mean, in 2022, people may be thinking that after he won like
Yeah.
three in a row and made tour finals, but since then he just hasn't been the same player.
Yeah, yeah, and then the finalist, Yuri Lehechka. So this final was honestly way more entertaining than the Alcaraz Sinner final in the Six King Slam. Like this was a high level final. It was great tennis being played, and Lehechka, I feel like just he's so close to like peak. I feel like he's not peaked yet, but he's just slowly on the rise. He keeps doing well, and I'm waiting for like a big breakout from him.
Yeah, I mean, he shows these flashes where you're like, this guy has almost the highest level, like you were saying, but just can't get it over the edge. So we'll see if he can take a step up in the next year or so.
Yeah, he was one of our players, one to watch, right? When we did our predictions for the year.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, he has been one to watch.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And then in other news in Brussels, so Raphael Collignon, he is the home wild card. He made a semifinal run, so pretty impressive run. Beat Davidovich Fokina in the quarterfinals. I feel like, these wild cards are maybe getting inspired by Vachereau.
Yeah, 100%. He showed them that it doesn't really matter what you're ranked. You can pretty much beat anybody on the tour right now.
Yeah, definitely. And then kind of the last highlight of this tournament is Musetti being upset by GMP in the quarterfinals. So this is an interesting matchup. So they had played at the US Open round one. I predicted that GMP was going to beat Musetti. That didn't happen. And then I think they played again later on at the China Open this summer. Musetti beat him there. So at this point, I'm pretty confident that, all right, Musetti's going to beat GMP. What do you know? He doesn't. And I'm actually shocked that GMP was able to break Musetti in this match too, because they had played, like I said, 5 times before, and he had only broken him one time in like, I don't know, 20 sets. Like it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty wild that he was able to do it here and hasn't been able to do it in all those past tournaments. I feel like it just shows that GMP is such a, not to rag on him, but he's kind of a one-dimensional player, right? It's just serve offense only, and then when he's returning, it's just really weak against the top players. But overall, I would say just a great run from GMP, right? I mean, hypothetically, he's a few points away from making the final, given the fact that he lost in two tiebreak sets in that semi.
Yeah, two one-handed backhands too, just going at it.
Yeah, I think I would take Musetti's over GMP's though.
So I think Musetti or GMP's is just way harder, but yes, I would take Musetti's. Musetti just looks more elegant.
Yeah,
I feel like GMP is just brute force behind that thing.
yeah, I feel like it's just not as consistent, right?
Yeah. All right, moving on over to the last ATP 250 Stockholm, and we got my boy Casper Ruud winning an indoor hard title. Did I read these correctly? Did I see that? Did that actually happen?
Yeah, I mean,
Ruud winning an indoor hard?
the thing is, I feel like it's actually not as shocking as you might think. I mean, first of all, you go back to Turin last year, he collected a big win over who was it, Alcaraz in Turin. Like that's a massive win, shows that he has a decently high level on indoor hard. He is like 11-1 this year on hard courts, given the fact that he made the final in Dallas earlier this year. And it's just, I feel like he has a decent level. It's statistically his second best service, obviously behind Clay. So it's not as shocking as you might think, but it is still a little bit surprising that he was able to kind of finish it out and actually collect the title.
Yeah, no, 100%. So I got a little trivia for you. So Casper, he has 14 total titles. 12 of them have come on clay. Obviously, he just won this one. Do you know what his other title was? Okay,
No,
so not a clue.
not a clue. I mean, I know it was probably an outdoor hard title, but I couldn't tell you where.
San Diego 2021,
Okay,
which
wow.
is now a challenger.
Well, that's probably not a positive sign for that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe that makes sense. I mean, 2021, he then maybe built into 2022 where he made that US Open final and then maybe regressed on hard court since then and just focused more on clay. But I don't know. I feel like it makes sense that at least that it's been a while.
Yeah, I did hear that the Stockholm court plays very, very slowly. So I think he might that might be advantageous for him.
Yeah, maybe, but it also felt like when he was the way he was playing was not the same as he plays on a lot of hardcore. Like he was crushing the ball.
Yeah, and he wasn't standing too far behind the baseline either, like he normally does.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe he was using that to his advantage. Like he doesn't have to stay as far back if the court is a little bit slower.
Yeah, I feel like when he plays on clay, he just runs around his backhand so much because you can get those like nice slow heavy hops. But today, like this time, he was hugging the baseline, he was ripping backhands too. So
Yeah, developing a new
good for him.
strategy.
Yeah, yeah, why not? But yeah, and then other news in Stockholm, I thought this was pretty neat. Bjorn Borg's son Leo, he won a second round. He got in as a wild card. I just I wonder if he'll ever pan out. Obviously, I don't think he'll be a Bjorn Borg, but are we going to see this guy as a regular name on tour? Or are we just going to see him as wild cards in the Stockholm Open every single year?
I don't know. I mean, if you're able good enough to win a round, like that's a pretty high level. So I feel like we may see him here and there.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of a Nepo baby in Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, still though, like the difference is like a nepo baby can just be like completely untalented and thrown into like a movie or something, but you can get thrown into a tournament over and over again and never win a match.
Yeah, that's true. Who said it? Was it Agassi that tennis is the ultimate meritocracy?
No, it was
Or was it
Gimelstob.
was it Gimelstob? Nice, man. I thought that was like
He
I
said
could
it
have
like
sworn
a
I read
hundred million
that.
times.
All right, I want to talk about Humbert, the finalist. He had a pretty good run. He had a big win against Berrettini. He beat Sonego. He got lucky against Rune with that unfortunate injury, but all in all, I had high hopes for Umber because I feel like he tends to play well on indoor hard, and he kind of has these spurts where you don't hear his name for a while, and then he just pops up in a final.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely has played well in the past, and but I feel like in 2025 he just hasn't been the same level. Like you said, though, you come into the indoor hard season, you're like, okay, maybe this is gonna be his time where he steps up, and like you said, it's a good run to make the final, but it also was like beating Berrettini and Sonego aren't crazy big wins, to be honest. And then it looked like he was going to lose that match to Rune. I mean, Rune literally got injured on a break point in the second set after winning the first set. Granted, it was actually after a really weird point where like the ball kid moved, and so Humbert like stopped playing mid point, and then Rune won it. So it was a weird situation, but still, he was down a break point in the second set and had already lost down a set, right? So I feel like that match was going the way of Rune, and if he hadn't gotten injured, it would have been Humbert out in the semis.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just talking about that injury, man, that is brutal. So he tears his Achilles, right? Like
Yeah.
apparently just heard it pop. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could kind of tell immediately watching the match, like the way he reacted, it just like was the telltale signs of an Achilles, right? Like he's just running, he tries to push off, and then like he kind of like jumps and looks around and is like, what just happened? And then he kind of tries to put weight on it, and he's like, oh no, that's not good. And it just feels like, I mean, they say that it feels like you got kicked in the calf, and that seemed like the way he kind of reacted. I also kind of want to talk just about the Achilles injury in general, because it seems as though that injury is kind of rising in sports. And I mean, in basketball, it's been a very common injury. It happened a lot of times last year to some big NBA players. And I think one of the reasons is actually because I was looking into it, and what they say is that it's because of a lack of development in the calf muscle. Because and I think that's kind of due to, you look at how far we advance in our sort of physical training for these top athletes, and they're so locked in, they're so strong in the legs, they're so flexible in all these ways, but like you get these imbalances, right? I think that's why you get like knee injuries in footballs, because like your body isn't designed to have your knee joint take like 300 pounds of muscle and turn it like 180 degrees on a dime. And yet
Yeah.
these players, like their legs are so strong that they're able to do that, but their knee joint isn't. I think it's kind of similar with the Achilles, right? Like your quad is strong enough to push you off from that angle, but maybe your calf isn't, and that puts the pressure on the Achilles, and the Achilles can't handle it.
Wow, that's crazy when you think about it like that. It's like the body, you're almost training your body to be to the point where it can't, like the joints can't handle it. Like
Exactly.
you're maxing out your body,
Yeah, I mean, the
right?
perfect example to me is obviously like Zion Williamson, right? Like
Hmm.
he's constantly injured in his lower body. This is obviously basketball reference for people who don't know, but Zion Williamson, an incredible player, but he's like 270 pounds and can do like a windmill dunk. So
Yeah.
not many people are designed to be able to do that. And so when your body's going, when you have that much momentum and then you try to change direction on like your knee or something, it's going to be really tough on that joint.
Yeah, man, I was just gutted seeing Runa in tears after the injury too, and like you just know it's bad. And honestly, it's scary too because to me that's the first Achilles injury I've seen in tennis.
Yeah, I mean,
Have
I feel
you?
like it has been a little bit less common in tennis than maybe other sports.
Yeah, and honestly, you don't see many ACLs. You don't really see torn ligaments on the lower body, I feel like. I think tennis players either do a really good job of, training that or they're just very maybe like you said, maybe their legs aren't as developed as like say an NBA or NFL player.
I
So
think
they're
that
not like pushing it to the
it
max.
could be part of it. I feel like when you see the leg injuries in tennis, it's more like a slip on grass.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. But it's crazy what they do out there too. They're like ballerinas almost, like sliding around on hard courts and just doing incredible things that you would think that there would be more ligament tears, but they're there aren't.
But I think that also is kind of a balance, right? I think that they're able to do that because they focus a lot on flexibility, and then that
Hmm.
flexibility kind of helps them avoid getting the injuries.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, but just brutal. Hopefully, I think the timeline's what, 9, 10 months for him to come
Yeah.
back.
I mean, unless you're Aaron Rodgers and you're like, it'll be like three
Oh
months.
my God. Yeah. Ayahuasca in Costa Rica, it'll be all good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But people are talking about this. So like the ATP, he should protect his points, right? Because of this, like despite being injured, he should be able to keep his points. I don't really know the intricacies on how it works, but when he comes back in a year, is he going to be ranked like 50, 60 in the world? Like, how does that work?
So I believe the way it works is you do lose the points, so your ranking does go down, but you have like a hidden protected ranking. So it's like he won't have to like struggle to get into tournaments, but
Hmm.
he won't be ranked super highly.
Ah, man, what do you think? Do you think he should be able to keep his ranking?
I think that it's tough to say what to do, right? Like you can't really just leave him in that spot because then players would just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit in the top 10 in the world and be considered that because I feel like you probably get kind of like sponsorship deals and stuff like that for being like, oh, this is like a top 10 player, right?
Hmm.
But you also can't you don't want to like penalize someone for getting injured on tour.
No, exactly. It's kind of it stinks. You have to protect the players, but at the same time, like you said, it's like other players will eventually work up to that ranking. So what are you going to do when they
Yeah,
get
the
there?
world
Just
doesn't stop just because that guy got
yeah,
injured.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. But anyway, you ready to hop into segments?
Yeah, let's do it. Hey guys, before we jump in, we have some exciting news. We recently partnered with TruePro. They're a great place to buy strings, grips, and tennis apparel. Use discount code Painting Lines, that's one word, for 20% off store wide. You can find the link in our bio.
Alrighty, what's new in tennis? What did you see this week?
So I guess we could just stay on the same topic here of injuries, but after this Rune injury, I saw some tweets from Jack Draper and Taylor Fritz. So I'm just going to go ahead and read them real quick. So Jack Draper said, "Injuries are going to happen. We are pushing our bodies to do things that they aren't supposed to do in an elite sport. We have so many incredible younger guys on the tour right now, and I'm proud to be a part of that. However, the tour and the calendar have to adapt if any of us are going to achieve some sort of longevity." And then Taylor Fritz, he responded, he said, "Facts. Also seeing more injuries and burnout now than ever before because balls, courts, conditions have slowed down a lot, making the weekly grind even more physically demanding and tough on the body." So this is just the same theme we've been seeing over and over again, how players are very unhappy with the tour schedule. They're unhappy with how slow the courts have gotten, how they have to play with different balls every week, with the elbow injuries. So it's just, I feel like the people are unhappy, like the top players. And this is kind of the first time I think that it's getting to be like with social media, it's kind of reaching a boiling point. Like a lot of people are agreeing as well.
Yeah, but I feel like the ATP is probably being like, hey, how about we look at the last 20 years and the fact that Federer and Nadal and Djokovic were all dominating at like 38. So I feel like the argument there is it's not about whether or not you're able to have a longevity. It's just the fact that maybe you don't want to be playing as much. I feel like it's the argument for the ATP side is other people have done it in the past and have been able to have long careers.
So what would you say to the slowing down of the courts, which I think objectively is happening?
I mean, how much slower are the courts than 2015?
I can't give you an exact answer on that, but I think I think it's pretty significant if people are talking about it and people are noticing it. Like I feel like this is just another, I guess, comment we've had. Zverev said it. Zverev said that the courts were being slowed down. Federer even said it, how it favors Alcaraz and Sinner. So I think either it's actually getting slowed down or players are just kind of feeding off one another and just kind of repeating what has been said before.
I mean, I just don't know what can be done. I don't think the ATP tour is going to change. I think also I would say my in my opinion is this: if a change is going to happen, it's probably not going to happen because of social media posts. I think what these guys should do if they want to do that is go to the direct or the leader of the players association and say, hey, these are the things we want to change. Obviously, if you're a top five guy in the world, you have more weight to your opinion when you go to whoever that person is and talk to them and say, hey, these are our demands to the ATP. We want the courts to be faster. We want the surfaces to be more different. And I feel like that's what they should do rather than just being out on social media. It just feels like complaining to me.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. I feel like that players association, they still haven't really narrowed down like exactly what they are doing for players. I feel like the tour itself is still very fragmented, so I don't know what they can do. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a you don't want to do the whole like shut up and dribble type of thing because you do want athletes to have a voice and you want them to kind of voice their concerns, but I get what you're saying. It's kind of they're voicing a lot, but there's not really action being done about it. So it's just like, all right, well, if nothing's going to be done, then kind of accept it.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I'm not saying like that you shouldn't have an opinion. I just feel like the opinion has been heard.
Yeah.
We've heard the opinion 100 times. Now go try to do something about it,
Yeah.
right? Like that.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I think the problem with tennis in general is that it's really hard to kind of unionize it, right? I think you really at this point have to have Sinner and Alcaraz on your side to be able to accomplish that because they're the top two guys, and I feel like even if the rest of the top 250 like said, "Hey, we're just not going to play unless you change these things," people wouldn't care as much as if Sinner and Alcaraz did it. To be completely honest.
Yeah. No, like you said, the level is so high, all around that there will be people that will play and they'll
Yeah,
fill the void.
exactly. It's like I feel like the picket crossing is a lot tougher in tennis because if you look at a guy outside the top 250 and you say, "Hey, the top 250 guys aren't going to play. Do you also not want to play?" He's going to be like, "No, I can make money like a top 10 player until they come back." Obviously, he's going to choose that.
Yeah. Well, how about Stan Smith back in the day? Remember when he didn't play that Wimbledon? I don't remember what year it was, 60s, but he won Wimbledon, and then the next year he was going to have the chance to defend his title, and then all of the players collectively decided not to. There was a big um, controversy, honestly. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he honorably didn't play when someone else did. I think his opponent that he had played in the final before ended up playing, but just great guy. I think more people need to kind of take after that.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that yeah, he can do that, but like you said, the other person isn't necessarily going to follow that same sort of code of
Yeah.
honor.
Yeah, no. All right, well, we kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but anyway, what about you? What did you see this week in tennis?
I saw something a little bit lighter, I guess. Deminar passing 300 tour wins. He's the second player born 1999 or later to hit that many, just after Sinner. And I just feel like it kind of is a statement about his consistency as a player. And I want to ask you, do you think he's the most consistent guy outside of the top two in terms of like simply collecting at least a couple rounds at every tournament?
Yeah, I mean, other than Djokovic,
Yeah,
I would
what
say.
Djokovic obviously was kind of I was kind of ignoring
Yeah,
because he only
okay.
plays like a couple of
Just
tournaments, right? My only other one that I was thinking about was maybe Fritz, and I actually
Mhm.
looked up their records, and they actually have the same record this year.
Whoa.
So those guys, there's an argument there, I guess, for the level of consistency, but it seems like those are kind of the guys where it's like, yeah, they're going to usually get at
Mhm.
least a win in a tournament.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a great quote about them, and I forget who said it, but basically, like, he's really good at beating people that he's better than, but he just can't really, he has a hard time beating people that are better than him. Like he gets far into a tournament, but once he gets to the point where he's got to play a center, play an Alcaraz, maybe even a Fritz, like he unfortunately won't get it done. But you have no doubt that he's not going to first round exit to the wild card ranked number 300 in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of exemplifies that idea of like you how high you can get in terms of ranking without even having to be able to beat those super top guys. Like he can beat them sometimes, but like he could lose to a player like almost any player within like the top 30 and he might do it consistently. But
Hmm.
if you always beat the guys you face outside of the top 30, that's going to be a massive boost for your ranking.
Yeah, no, definitely. And he's a guy who's talked about burnout in the past too. He was going through it this summer. So it can happen to anyone.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like I gotta reaffirm like burnout is I'm not saying burnout isn't a problem. I'm just saying like just complaining about it over and over again isn't gonna do anything.
Right, right. All right. How about bet of the week?
Yeah, I went for a few interesting upset alerts here. I mean, a couple I was looking at were Umber plus 105 over Corda, Popperin plus 125 over Berrettini were all both interesting. But I think the biggest and like most sort of dramatic potential upset is Vashro over Fritz at plus
Mhm.
320 because obviously massive underdog. But I think this is actually going to be one of the most important matches in Vachero's career. He's coming off of a Masters 1000 title where he was a nobody. And this is going to be the match where you say, is this guy legit or not? If he plays like he did in Shanghai, I could see him coming out on top in this match. But if he doesn't and he just kind of regresses to where he was before, he's gonna just be that one hit wonder where everyone's like, oh my God, Vasher won that one tournament. And that was just kind of nothing after that.
Yeah, what a tough draw. Just getting Fritz first round.
Yeah,
That
not great for
stinks.
him.
But yeah, no, I like these. I was actually looking at the Popperin plus 125 over Berrettini as well. That one I like a lot. And then surprisingly, I saw Rinderknech. I don't remember exactly who he was playing. I'm blanking, but what normally would be like a, oh yeah, I'm betting against Rinderknech. I second guessed myself. I was like, hey, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, like I
Who
was saying,
knows?
you saw how Vasher and Rinderknech played
Yeah.
in Shanghai, and you're like, really hard to say if that guy plays at that same level that he is not going to win his match.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it should be some good ones.
100%. How about you? Who'd you go for here?
All right, I am taking Fonseca minus 110 over GMP. Just pure gut play right here. I feel like Fonseca minus 110's almost even. And yeah, I just love him. I like him as a player. I think he'll win.
Yeah, I think the question there is going to be like, is GMP able to break? Because I think Fonseca has the ability to break GMP, like if he gets maybe a lucky break somewhere. Uh, and I think he just has that skill level. It's just going to be whether GMP can step up to the plate and get a break himself.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna have to serve really well. I am curious to see how Fonseca can handle the serve because he is so young, and I'm not sure if he sees all like that speed.
Yeah, nobody sees
But
that serve that
yeah,
often, right?
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But anyway, I know they both hit the shit out of the ball, so I could tell you by probably after the first two sets that ball is going to be fuzzy and blown up.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to be doing ball changes every like 3 games.
Yeah, seriously, seriously. But yeah, going with Fonseca. Feel pretty good
Sounds
about
good.
it.
Yeah, solid. How about match of the week?
I'm gonna keep this one brief. I just went with the Stockholm final because Rude, just as you listeners know, I love Rude, and he just put an absolute masterclass onto Humbert, 6-2, 6-3. The sound of the ball too, and the indoor was just cranking. They were both cracking the ball. It was like a very heavy hitting, just baseline brawl, fun to watch, and. Fun fact, Ruud was the first Norwegian to win the Stockholm Open, so I thought that was pretty cool just because Sweden and Norway, both Scandinavia, but also kind of rivals. And this actually reminded me of Argentina and Brazil over the summer when Fonseca won the Buenos Aires Open, being a Brazilian. That's kind of like Ruud here winning the Sweden Open as a Norwegian. It's just kind of like a I don't know, in your face type of thing, rival
Yeah.
country.
The
So
only
yeah,
issue is
match
like,
of the week.
who's the top guy from Sweden right now?
Dude, it's Leo Borg.
Oh my God.
I
Yeah.
don't know. It could be. I don't know. Or Yimmer, I'm sure.
I don't think it's Borg, right? I've only seen him
It's
one
not.
time, but
It's definitely not Borg.
yeah.
All right.
Um,
What about you?
I'm going
What was your
with
match of the week?
one of the other finalists, Almaty. Medvedev, like I said, I talked about this earlier. Takes it in three, and I really wanted to see him win this title, and he ended up getting it done. But I did feel kind of bad for Mute. He still has no tour titles, has played in multiple finals, kind of like a little bit lower Davidovich. Uh, but it was an interesting match. I mean, Mute set the tone super early, broke in the first game. Medvedev then managed to break back late in the set, and then again at 5-6 to take it. Then again, he got broken to start the second set. Then at like 3-4, I want to say, they like traded breaks. So like Medvedev broke back, and then Mute immediately didn't let him hold on to that break. So he ended up taking that second set. And then in that final set, it was really interesting because there was this marathon game at 1-2 where there were 7 deuces, 4 break points for Medvedev. And I was like, oh no, this is going to be so important. If he takes this, it's going to be massive. He may run away with it. But if he loses, I wouldn't have been surprised if Medvedev collapsed based on the past. But it turns out like he was able to stay unrattled, which I got to say is probably a positive for his coaching. And then eventually broke late and served it out. But I just feel like overall it was great to see how Medvedev was able to deal with the scrappiness of Mute. And I think that was interesting. I think Medvedev kind of needed to work on his ability to put away points just because there were so many instances, like I was talking about earlier, where felt like he had a great chance and just didn't put it away. But the thing to me that stands out is like it makes me feel as though Medvedev makes me wonder about where Medvedev would have been if he had changed his coaching earlier. That's just my entire feeling about it.
So you think he like almost lost a couple years, like
Not a
going
couple
titleless without a
years,
couple years?
but like I feel like you look 2023 is his last title. If he had changed, it looked into changing his coaching after like 6 months, right? Where would he be now? Would he have been able to take a step up? Would he have won another slam? It's just tough because obviously he had that whole history with his previous coach, but now you're seeing an immediate step up after changing his coaching. So just tough to see. And we were talking about for so long, Medvedev, you need to change something. You need to change something. And then immediately when he does, he starts seeing the step up.
Yeah, I know. That's a great point. I mean, I would have loved to see Medvedev change coaches earlier and probably succeed, but we can only see what he's doing now. And I think other guys need to take notice, like Tsitsipas, change your coach.
Yeah.
Like Zverev, change your coach. I would have said Rude, but he just won the title. So, and he had that Masters title earlier this year. So maybe he doesn't quite need to change it. And it looks like he is adapting. But Medvedev was one of those guys who, like you said, desperately needed to change something. And now that he is, I think he's going to be a more exciting player to watch.
Yeah. I want to see what he does when we get into that Australian Open next year.
Oh yeah, you don't think he's gonna go down first round?
I hope not.
Yeah, hope not. We can only hope. All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.